This episode of Last Lap is brought to you in association with PMC Midlands, Commercial Building, Design and Construction. Welcome to Silverstone. This week on Last Lap, the final rounds of the 2012 Porsche Club Great Britain Championship. 2 races for you to round up the 15-race season, and it's all to play for here on the Grand Prix circuit this weekend. So to find out who's in with a shout of taking the championship honours, let's go and join Jake down in the paddock.
Well, the driver everybody seems to be keeping their eye on this weekend is the PMC Midlands car, and the driver, Pete Morris. Pete, it's looking good at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking good. It's the first time we've stepped up and used the 3.4 model for the championship, so it's had its ups and downs with engines blowing up and stuff, but I'm thereabouts at the moment. I'm chasing for the club honours in this weekend. We did okay yesterday. I managed to get it on pole and win the first race, and it's all to do the second race today and then the third race today as well, so it's all to fight for. There's probably a handful of points, but 3 of us can win the championship. My teammate can win it in a 968. He's on team orders, of course, if I've got a chance of winning, because I'm in the Class 1 car, he's in the Class 2 car. But it's fantastic racing, and the Porsche Club, I've done Carrera Cup and I've done British GT, and going back to the roots, it's close racing, and it's just a lot cheaper as well.
So with car number 14, driven by Mark McAleer. Mark, this is kind of a bit of an end-of-term atmosphere, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a sort of end of school, isn't it? You know, it's end of the season, end of school. We just need a disco at the end of it, really. But yeah, I think there's quite a relaxed sort of atmosphere about it. I know, obviously, some people are a bit edgy with the championship points and things like that, but I still think it's to play for. I don't think anybody's actually won anything yet, so it should be really good. Really good last race. It should be really, really good.
And you're still very much in the top 3 in contention for your class as well, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think we're probably second at the moment. We can certainly win it, but we do need a bit of luck to win it. But obviously, we go out there and try and win the race and let everybody else do their own thing.
One of the cars to look out for on the grid then is the Porsche 993, and it's being driven by number 66, Mark Proctor. Mark, is this one going to be more interesting for you than the rest of the season has?
I mean, it's panned out quite well for us, really. It's our first season. I mean, it's a little bit disappointing that we have been caught towards the end. I mean, we've been sort of leading the championship all year, but we've been reeled in now, and you know, it's one of those things, I suppose.
And you're kind of looking at the championship points a little bit to see how much you actually need to do in this race, aren't you?
I am, but it's our first time here at the Grand Prix circuit. I've raced here in touring cars a couple of years, in 05, 06. So it's, you know, I mean, as I say, I suppose I started on the back foot, but making no excuses. I've got to say, Peter Morris, you know, drove brilliantly at Castlecombe and drove brilliantly in the second part of the season. So, you know, I'm a fair guy. I mean, you know, he deserves to be where he is, and we've got Mark, my brother-in-law, Mark McAleer, we're so I think about more or less equal on points now going in the last race, and unfortunately Mark's sumped through the previous commitments. I think he's racing at Spa today, hasn't been able to make it, which is a big shame, because, you know, if you're going to win something, I'd sooner all the title contenders be here, but unfortunately we had other commitments.
So the Class 2 honours are very competitive as well, and Alex Eacock is in with a shout at the championship, not just in the class but overall, aren't you, sir?
Oh, yep, we've got a chance at the overall title as well as the Class 2 title, so yeah, excited, ready for the last race of the year. So,
mind you, there's the chap standing next to you who's going to want to try and take it off you though, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Pete's got a good chance as well, but I think overall honours this year are going to go to a Class 2 car, because we've pretty much been the points leaders all year, so between me and Paul, who's next in, well, the 2 of us in class, I think we're going to have the overall honours.
So even with the Porsche Club Championship and class titles up for grabs, this is the trophy that every driver on the grid really wants to get their hands on. It's the Bill Taylor Memorial Trophy, absolutely immaculate, hand-carved from wood, and any driver on this grid is going to want to put that on their mantelpiece at the end of the weekend's work. No matter what happens in the championship, Richard, I don't half envy you.
It should indeed be a great race today, the first of two, the penultimate and final races of the season coming up. Pole position going to Peter Morris. Alongside him, Mark McAleer, Richard Ellis and Marcus Carneal on row 2. The Class 2 pole sitter there, and the overall championship leader, as you heard, is Alex Eacott. Second in Class 2, Mark Kirbley. And third, starting 25th, is Stuart Ings. Paul Ward next to him, so it's a good class field. Slightly damp conditions here at Silverstone on the full Grand Prix circuit, getting ready to go. 4 lights on, 5 on. And a great start. Morris gets away well from the outside. We're on board with Marcus Carneal. We've got invitation cars, GT3 invitation cars in the mix as well. They're ahead of us. But it's a great start by Peter Morris, who's looking to emulate what he did yesterday. There in 35 with the green mirrors is Marcus Carneal, his teammate Ben Demetriou. Similar liveried box to S, the silver with the orange mirrors. John McCullough, front runner. He is looking at the two teammates who go side by side into Beckett's for the first time. And now the run out of Beckett's through Chapel and down the Hangar Straight. A terrific field of cars, all of them getting a huge bonus of points this weekend. 20 points for attending this last round. We had a quick look there at car number 8. That's David Botterill. David comes from Yarm. The race leaders, though, down in towards Stowe Corner. And are we going to see a challenge here from Mark McAleer? He's a little bit too far back, and Peter Morris hangs on to the race lead as the field swarms around Stowe Corner for the first time. Now make their way up to Vale and into Club Corner. So here they come into Club. The onboard view from Marcus Carneal, but the race leader, Peter Morris, looks like he's been deposed. Morris has been deposed. There was very clear notice of intent from McAleer when they came down Hangar Straight, and he's got through. And now McAleer's brother-in-law going through on the inside of Ben Demetriou. Mark Proctor makes a great manoeuvre. Procky then, still without a race win this year, but he's been gaining experience race by race in these. It's wonderful to see him in machinery that suits his talent. He was really fighting not only the other drivers but the regulations in the Clio Cup last year, so it's great to see him in the Porsches. And there he is, the white car with the blue wheels, Mark Proctor, ex-BTCC man, running well ahead of car 35, Ben Demetriou, and up ahead of Mark Proctor, Ben's teammate Marcus Carneal. But out front, Mark McAleer taking the battle to Pete Morris. Mark, one of several race winners that we've had in class number 1 this year. So Ben Demetriou has got a bit of work to do coming down the Wellington Straight, and Ben chasing the white car in front. Looks to the outside line as they come into the Brooklands Complex, and a spin for car number 6 out there. That is Ian Hendley who takes a spin. It's a very tricky part, and I was going to say a tricky part of the circuit. More shenanigans going on, and that's Mark Kirbley, and there we go, on board with him. Front runner, third in Class 2 Championship this year on 242 points coming into this race. Will recover very quickly. Good recovery from Kirbley. Won't be happy though to be out, as through at the end of the first lap goes the race leader Mark McAleer from Peter Morris. There in car number 64 is Kevin Harrison. So Kevin running well, and the race now starting to develop into a bit of a pattern. And the pattern here is that Mark Proctor's making up another place. He's on the outside line of inside line of Marcus Carneal, and he's through. The white car moves up a position ahead of Marcus Carneal, who's now got Ben Demetriou, his teammate, snapping at his heels very much, as Proctor will start to try and put a little bit of distance between himself and the chaser. Proctor in the 993. This is the view from Carneal, who was just past. And that's Demetriou going through. Ben Demetriou goes through on the Hangar Straight, coming down into Stowe Corner. Still as you were at the front, Mark McAleer, Peter Morris in second place. So cracking racing as ever. Time perhaps to talk a little bit about what's going on in terms of championship points as we go back on board with Marcus Carneal trying to get back at Ben Demetriou. Now championship wise, coming into this race, the overall championship led by Alex Eacott, who has 320 points. Now, in terms of the class positions, Paul Follett, by my reckoning, a point clear at the moment on 3-2-1, because you have to take into account drop scores, and Alex Eacock didn't race at Donington Park, so that effectively means he doesn't drop any scores. If he has a non-finish in one of the races, that will not be good at all. But Paul Follett has to drop a couple of scores. 42 points Follett drops. That's the a little bit of a penalty, you might say, for consistency, but this championship very much about one that encourages drivers to do as many rounds as possible, but you don't have to do them all, and you can understand the sentiment in doing that. Now, in Class 1, Mark Proctor coming into this race, 295 points, so he's the top scorer, been very consistent over the course of the year and fast. But Peter Morris, he's on 294, and Morris at the moment poised to take those extra points and grab the championship lead on net points as well as gross. It is a little bit complicated to run through all that, but Mark McAleer is at the moment third in the championship on 283, and there's extra 20 points on offer for everybody turning up this weekend. So it's always a good option to try and encourage people to come out. Now we've got a challenge for the lead. Back into the lead, it looks like he's done it going into Stowe Corner, into Copse Corner rather, and taking the lead back is Peter Morris, the pole position man. You just saw him out of shot. There's Kevin Harrison in 64, but Peter Morris has regained the lead from Mark McAleer. Now the cars that are being closed on are some of the invitation runners, so we've got a little bit of traffic for the Porsche Club guys, the regular guys, to have to deal with as we get into mid-stage of the race. They started ahead of the main group, and that was basically so they didn't interfere with any championship options, and specifically I think in the early stages, certainly mid-race like we're getting into now, there was always the possibility that some could be caught. Well, the championship race underway. Join us after the break for the conclusion.